Counterfeit Crackdown.
You have an item like unapproved contact lenses that are being shipped here.
Fake goods worth billions sold across the world. What's actually in these products and the dangers they could bring into your home?
Did you have doors slammed in your face initially?
Yeah, definitely.
Revolutionizing medicine, the pioneering medical breakthrough that promises a life beyond medication for transplant recipients.
It is coming down heavily.
We have to take this sort of hour by hour.
And ever wonder how a forecast comes together?
Now you want to know, hey, how much did my neighborhood get?
Our CBS meteorologists tell us how they cover storms and keep you safe around the country and in your community. CBS News puts the stories that matter in focus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Maurice DuBois. Over the next half hour, we'll travel across the country to uncover stories that have a major impact on our lives, and we'll talk with the storytellers as well who've dedicated their work to elevating these issues front and center. We begin in New York, where counterfeit goods are flooding the marketplace and getting harder to spot. We're talking about everything from purses and designer goods to healthcare products like contact lenses. And most shoppers don't even know they're getting duped. A recent Michigan State University study found that 7 in 10 consumers were deceived into buying a counterfeit item at least once in the last year, something that could put you and your loved ones at risk. National consumer correspondent Ash-Har Quraishi takes a look now at how law enforcement and retailers are fighting fakes.
Look at that.
You've got more and more merchandise out here.
There's massive amounts of Louis Vuitton out here.
Ashley Sands used to spend a lot of time on Canal Street, a place some have called Manhattan's bootleg bazaar. As an intellectual property attorney, Sands works with major retailers to find and prosecute counterfeiters.
We would come with our investigators and, often with NYPD, and we would do raids down here.
We saw police pushing vendors to pack up. And look, you can see them loading all of this material that's just getting
into
loaded
cars.
up.
Like it looks like they're going.
NYPD seized more than $1 billion worth of counterfeit luxury goods last November, the largest bust of its kind in U.S. history.
This is what we think of traditionally when you're trying to find knockoffs and counterfeit items being sold on the streets, but this has largely moved online.
Right.
Counterfeiting is the largest illicit trade in the world. Here in the U.S., we're buying an estimated $2 trillion worth of counterfeit products each year.
Do you think most consumers have an idea that a lot of what they could be buying, is not real, has not been safety tested?
Probably not.
After a fire killed 2 siblings at a Queens home in April, the New York Fire Department discovered a burned scooter and charger in the home with a fake safety certification label.
We are getting a closer look at what sparked the fire, the FDNY releasing these images.
Investigators suspect the fire was sparked by another charger, which may have had the same kind of counterfeit sticker.
Everything on this table that you see electronic is a fire hazardous.
And counterfeit electronics kill a lot of Americans every year.
We have hundreds of reports of houses being burnt down based on these type of counterfeit electronics.
Customs and Border Protection officers are responsible for targeting and seizing imports of counterfeit and pirated goods. A lot of it happens at the country's busiest international mail facility at JFK Airport. Up to 500,000 packages come through here each day.
How do you find those counterfeit items?
Through our expertise, through our targeting systems, through our risk analysis, through our partnerships, through our intelligence. We're able to use that to target packages based on past seizures and the like.
And these officers see it all.
In a lot of cases, we really don't know what's in those pills. And when you test them, you'll find some alarming chemicals or dust products or rat poison.
Many packaged to look like the real thing.
Here is our biggest concern, right? You have an item like unapproved contact lenses that are being shipped here. This is scary. This is an item that people are using as a legitimate contact lens.
The Government Accountability Office says CBP needs to do better. It warned the agency about holes in their enforcement in a 2020 report that concluded its primary enforcement processes are not tailored to combat counterfeit goods in small packages.
The sheer number of small packages that are coming in was a major challenge for them. It's almost 2 million packages per day.
Last year, your own Inspector General criticized your agency for, quote, failing to coordinate or manage your IPR strategy with the Department of Homeland Security, and failure to collect accurate data to help manage your IPR enforcement. What's your response to those criticisms?
Look, I mean, there's not a day I don't come to work and think that we can't do a better job of what we're doing. But when we sit in a facility like we're sitting in today, let's look at the things we are doing to improve that.
And Ash-Har Quraishi joins me now. Ash-Har, great to see you. Great piece.
Thank you.
Really strong reporting there. So I'm not a bag person,
right?
Gotta tell you, right? But I can't tell what's what.
Okay, so Maurice, we've got 4 bags here. Tell me what you think. Which ones of these are real and which ones are fake?
All right, based on what you're saying about stitching and so forth, I'm not seeing as much in here. This is my untrained eye. Seeing some in here, it appears to me this is real. All right, that's what I'm thinking. And then this one, I literally have zero idea. I mean, I would just say eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Okay, this one is in fact fake.
Really?
Yes, that one is real. So it's that difficult, you know. I got these all wrong too.
Okay, I don't feel so bad.
So don't feel so bad. I mean, it's going to take artificial intelligence to figure this out.
So you said Customs and Border Patrol, they are trying to do better. This is a really, really tough job.
Absolutely, it's
trying to do better. But they're going to AI to try to do better. How does that work? AI to detect this stuff.
So what they're using for the first time are X-ray machines that are equipped with AI machine learning as well. And so you've got officers who are monitoring all of these packages. You heard in the piece, you know, up to a 500 million packages come through JFK just alone, right? The bulk of those packages come from overseas. They're small consignments. That's what makes it really difficult for them to be able to identify all of these pieces, because I can order one item to my house now using an online platform. So they have to go through all of those packages that come from overseas.
And nobody can really do that.
Nobody can really do that without the help of AI and machine learning. So that's something they're rolling out. They will have conveyor belts at JFK, and they will run them through these machines, and they will be flagging things based on that database that continues to build on those X-rays, where they find things and then they do secondary screening on
So super X-rays on these, but then you think of the volume.
It's a massive.
That's an impossible sounding task. This is not just stuff. It's also things you ingest, drugs and food. You say, counterfeit, which can really be deadly at the end of the day.
That was one of the things I thought was shocking to me, is that anything that you think is being sold or can be manufactured or packaged can be counterfeited and is counterfeited. Again, this is the most, it's the biggest illicit trade in the world. One source told me that people, criminals are moving from the narcotics trade to counterfeit because it's more lucrative and the penalties are lower. So you're finding that it's a booming business, and it's it goes back to the beginning of time, right? We talk about coins; they were the first things to be counterfeited when they were first, first came up, and so counterfeiting is never going away, and it's going to take law enforcement, it's going to take online platforms, and it's going to take us consumers to really be conscientious about what we're buying and where we're buying it from.
And like you say, never going to go away. Ash-Har Quraishi, thanks so much. Great reporting. And if you have a tip, you can email Ash-Har at cbs.com. And we'll be right back.
Still ahead, a medical breakthrough.
We did it. What a damn team.
The transformative power of stem cells and the potential to free transplant recipients from a lifetime of medication.
If you or someone you know has had an organ transplant, you know something about the word gratitude. But that new life can come with challenges, including the medication you have to take every day for the rest of your life. But that soon may change, because a California surgeon has performed the first retroactive stem cell transplant following a kidney transplant, which could potentially free his patients from the burden of taking dangerous drugs forever. Rudabeh Shahbazi from CBS Los Angeles has the story.
That's the first go around.
Along with breakfast, Bill Gallio's morning routine involves almost 30 pills a day, a painful reminder of a beautiful gift from his daughter.
This is for my stomach because of the steroids.
His daughter Timory donated her kidney to her father in 2004, his second transplant after his first one gave out. The organ saved his life, but the drug cocktail that followed has serious side effects and weakens his immune system.
It makes your life 100% as opposed to being 50%, because the other 50% of your life is your medication.
These are people that have had their transplant months or years earlier.
Dr. Jeffrey Bilo has transplanted more than 2,000 kidneys. And while he's saved countless lives, he often worries about the quality of life afterwards.
These drugs have side effects. They make you weight gain, lose hair, worse cancer. infections.
Dr. Bilo has embarked on a 7-year journey along with his team at UCLA to find a way to get transplant recipients off the immunosuppressant drugs. Our cameras are there as he transplants stem cells into the recipient's body after the initial kidney transplant. The patients, Micah Deaver and his brother Dylan, who gave Micah a kidney 13 months earlier. Dr. Bilo hoping Dylan's stem cells will be a magic elixir in Micah's body, tricking it into thinking Dylan's kidney is his own, spurring his body to produce more of Dylan's cells and freeing Micah of the anti-rejection medications.
A kidney transplant typically functions for about 15, maybe 20 years if you're lucky. But these same drugs actually cause the kidney transplant to fail. It kind of chokes out the kidney over time. So by not being on these drugs, the kidney transplant could potentially function for the rest of the recipient's life.
And that frees up the organs for people who need it, right?
Exactly. So 20% of people on the waiting list are waiting for their second, third, or fourth kidney transplant.
Even before the dialysis, I was sick for years. Like, I don't want to get out of bed sick.
We were mostly just caught up with all of his, like, making sure he would live, you know, like that was not even a forethought in our mind of like, what's the next step in life.
Dr. Bilo has transplanted stem cells at the same time as the kidney on half a dozen other matches, but this is the first time in history the procedure will be done retroactively. If it works, it will revolutionize medicine.
Did you have doors slammed in your face initially?
Yeah, definitely.
But you always believed that you would be able to do it?
I thought it would work.
I want to be a part of that because it has such huge implications for everybody who's donated in the past, you know, to help those people be off those rejection drugs. It's really exciting.
In a bed at UCLA, a machine sucks blood from Dylan's body. His white blood cells are then separated out and cryopreserved.
Does it feel surreal that you're finally here at this moment?
It's super weird. It's been a long journey to it, and now that we're doing it, I'm like, all right, finally.
A decade of worry, despair, seizures, surgery, and medication, now potentially almost in the rear view.
It's like terrifying, obviously, because you watch this young person just being super sick, and you think about that, and it's really hard.
Micah, meantime, is going through radiation and powerful drugs, and will then have Dylan's stem cells transferred into his body. And now, a waiting game. A month goes by, and now the moment of truth. Dr. Bilo will find out if there's engraftment in Micah's body, and whether he'll actually start producing Dylan's white blood cells, and will recognize the kidney as his own.
Yeah, it's a big day. I mean, it's the first time ever done in the history of the planet. It's only taken 10 years of our teams, about 50 people, 10 years to do it. They'll never get that time back if it doesn't work.
Dr. Bilo hopes the procedure is a success and then opens the door to a world of new possibilities for all kinds of transplant patients.
Okay, the report just came in. Let's click and see if we got tolerance. Come on, Micah, hope you engrafted. Oh, yes, guys, we got tolerance.
About a quarter of Micah's blood, now his brother's cells. A measure of success that seems to surprise even the engineer of this breakthrough.
Rebecca, we did it, damn it. Can you believe that? This is fantastic. Like, can you believe it? We did it. What a damn team. I'm so thrilled.
Doctors make many calls to break news, but few are as exciting as this one.
It worked, Micah. We did it, man.
We got chimerism?
We got chimerism. We got engraftment, man. We did it.
Micah and Melissa now planning to get married and live a life free of another transplant and without medication.
The outlook is good. Yes, very much so. I do feel for you. I think we're in a pretty good place right now, actually.
We're in a very good place. We're still on, on the train.
Yeah, we're starting the taper of the last drug. That's kind of cool.
For 77-year-old Bill Gallio,
here's the little devil. That's prednisone.
The thought of life without medicine hardly seemed possible.
Did you ever think you'd see a day where you might get off your medication and have a healthy kidney?
No.
Sometimes an experiment exceeds the wildest dreams.
Opens it up to people who had a transplant a year ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, this is so rad. Let's wean them off of immunosuppression. Can't thank you and the team enough. Really appreciate it. Okay, see you, buddy. Bye. Bye. Yeah, they're over the moon. They said these are super clean results.
And Rudabeh Shahbazi joins me now. Oh my goodness, Rudabeh, what a story. You were there for the moment, the money moment, right? When the doctor gets the call, when the patients get the news. What was that like to witness that?
It just was such an amazing moment because I had followed this story for so long, basically from the inception when Dr. Bilo was explaining what he was doing, when he was still in the paperwork stages. And so to see it come to fruition like this and know how life-changing it is, not just for that sibling pair, but for everyone who's walking around with a transplant.
I mean, you set out to do a completely different story, right? This wasn't even your intent, and you kind of backed into this as it turns out.
Yeah, it started out, the genesis of it was exploring the fentanyl crisis and how that was affecting transplants in patients, because a lot of the donors now are fentanyl victims who are young, who are otherwise healthy. And so that was kind of the genesis of this story. And when I met with Dr. Bilo and did those initial interviews and those initial phases of research, that's how I discovered that he was working on this project with this huge team behind him at UCLA. And it's kind of, they really went out on a ledge there and took a risk for this, but he always believed that this was possible, and he pursued it, which was a really inspiring thing to see.
That is just tremendous. Outstanding reporting, Rudabeh Shahbazi. Thank you so much, and we know that you'll continue to follow the work of Dr. Bilo and others going forward. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and if you have a story for Rudabeh, you can email her at rudabeh.shahbazi@paramount.com. In Focus continues when we come right back.
Coming up, conversations with a meteorologist. From the snow to rain and sunshine, how our weather team keeps you prepared for your everyday life.
It's going to get cold out there. You know how wet it is outside. This was a heavy, wet snow.
It's already slushy on the roads. Any of those road treatments kind of got washed away by the heavy rain overnight.
2 to 4 inches in my latest model range, and 4 to 6 just to the south of the city.
From sunrise to sunset, snow totals to tornadoes, our CBS News and Stations weather teams bring you the most up-to-the-minute information to get you out the door, all that information that you need. So how does a forecast come together? Joining me now is Jason Mikell from CBS Boston, Kate Bilo from CBS Philadelphia, and Lonnie Quinn from CBS New York. Guys, great to see you all. We've been chatting here, and I've just been feeling like I'm getting a fly on the wall kind of, experience with the weather geeks in our midst, because you guys, when you get together, it's all weather all the time. That's been my experience. Is that fair, weather geeks?
We're pretty much nerds, yes.
Yes.
In short.
Look, it's exciting stuff, and when you're around people who get as excited about it as I do, this is like...
This is our Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's fun, and we own it. We love being weather geeks, and we love that our viewers tend to be weather geeks, even more so, I think, than they used to be.
Yeah. And Kate, this was your passion since you were a kid, they were telling me.
Yeah, I would say it was the blizzard of '93. I was younger than I am now. And I remember going out with my yardstick and a piece of graph paper and taking hourly measurements and calculating the rate of snowfall, mainly because I was just a giant nerd and I love science. And now to be able to do that and people actually listen to me talk about it for a living, it's pretty amazing.
It was a kid for you. How about you? When did you jump on?
Hurricane Katrina, actually. I was a freshman in college. We started on a Friday. Hurricane Katrina happened that Sunday night, and from then on in, I was in lockstep with loving weather and trying to learn the unique aspects of why the storm was so powerful.
And Lonnie, you had a whole other career before you jumped into weather.
I got into this when I was still a young man. I was probably in my 20s, but I got into flying. I'd always wanted to fly. So when I was pursuing my pilot's license, and you're taking your atmospheric science classes and things, and you're getting into that, well, then once you're up flying in the atmosphere, you want to know as much about the air you're flying in and to keep yourself safe as you possibly can. And then it's just funny how the road goes. And here I am now, every day sitting opposite you talking weather.
That's what we do. And this year we've been talking about the lack of snow in the area. What the heck is going on? I mean, what has happened?
Okay, in our area, we're under a strong El Nino right now. So we live in the Northeast. That typically means you're going to get a lot of storms, which we've had crazy amounts of rain, but you get borderline temps. And if it lines up with the cold air and the moisture's in place, you can get walloped, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't had it coinciding at the same time.
Right, and even the storm that we had, the Valentine's Day week here, we had so much warm air out ahead of it that it wanted to snow. It did snow, but because we didn't have that fresh Arctic cold, it just couldn't accumulate. So it looks pretty for a few hours and then then it's gone, and it's tough for snow lovers.
I was at a lunch. Some people were offhandedly saying, you know, the weather people, they never get it right. They always get it wrong. Wish I could be in an industry where I could get it wrong and I could make a living doing that, blah, blah,
We
blah.
never heard that before.
No,
Right, and you
we
hear it
love
all the
when
time.
people say that.
But
Yeah,
so
we
here's
love
what
it.
I said. I said, oh, you obviously don't watch CBS.
There you go.
Because our folks, they live here. They actually go through models. They work really hard at this, and they're pretty good. They get it right most of the time. I mean, that's my defense, because I see that as true. I see Lonnie working hard every day with his team. So what do you guys say when you hear people talk like that?
Mother Nature is not something that you can just say. You can follow the odds, you can follow climatology, you can follow past storms. Here's what the last one did. Every variable is different with every storm, and that's what makes it such a fun job, but also such a challenging job. You know, we're literally trying to predict the future, and people want an exact total for their backyard. It's not always going to happen.
There's no such thing.
Right, but broad strokes, we usually do pretty well.
Weather is the only part of a newscast, the only part that affects every single person. And as a result, every single person has an opinion about it.
That is true.
That is true.
Talk to me about this collaboration between CBS News and Stations, the weather departments, using all the tools at the disposal. I mean, you know, in this case here, we have the Northeast. We have Philly, then we have New York, we have Boston. You can kind of sequence a storm as it's coming your way.
Because the general flow, not always, but the general flow is going to take it through Philadelphia into New York, up to Boston. Sometimes there are certainly exceptions to that, but it's great to be able to hear from Kate, hey, you know what? It's like the Valentine's Day storm. It's snowing like crazy out here, but our surface temperatures are too warm. Grassy surfaces, sure, but we're just not seeing it on the roadways here. Now, I can take that and I can interpolate a bit. I know my temperatures are a little bit cooler, a little north in New York City.
And that same storm for Boston, up until 12 hours before the storm, Boston looked like it was the jackpot zone, and then a little shift.
You don't have to tell us about that.
Yeah,
We definitely got. We caught a lot of heat from that too. But you, as Lonnie and Kate were just saying, Boston is usually the final act of this weather story as it's kind of tracing up the northeastern corridor. And I think one of the major things that we're able to see as far as this network is concerned, we're able to start with Kate. We're able to, you know, move on over to Lonnie, and then we get to Boston and we say, okay, this is what it's been trending as it's been sort of moving over the past 12 hours, crawling up the Atlantic seaboard. How has the storm morphed? How has it changed? What have the impacts been? How have the impacts changed? Because by the time we get to Boston, we can have a clearer view of exactly what this storm is going to do, seeing how it's responded as it's been tracking.
Great insight, you guys. And we feel the passion and the geekdom. You know, we feel it all coming through. Jason, Kate, Lonnie, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this episode of In Focus, featuring the work of our colleagues from across the country at local CBS News stations. We have more than 5,000 people, many of them behind the scenes, living and working in the cities you care about, around the country and in your community. CBS News puts the stories that matter in focus. Until next time, I'm Maurice DuBois.